You're entering Corsi Nation.
This is Jerome Corsi, and today it's Monday. It's April 14th, 2025. Tomorrow is tax day. Hopefully Donald Trump will get rid of the income tax and we won't have to deal with this nonsense anymore. The money being stolen from us every year at April 15th, plus deducted throughout the year, so that the Democrats can give it to transgender mice studies, which then end up in the Act Blue funding Democratic crazy, lunatic, communist, treasonous ideas. So that's all our income tax is doing, plus paying the $1 trillion interest on the money we borrow, because we're dealing with the Federal Reserve. We could just be printing our own money. No, we have to give it to the international bankers, the private bankers who own the Federal Reserve, so they can fight more wars. If anybody saw 60 Minutes last night, you have Zelenskyy acting like he is somebody. He's a comic actor, a little punk. This guy ought to be flicked away into the dustbin of history. And he's over here telling us about how President Trump needs to come and see Ukraine. Zelenskyy, go to hell. You're going to freeze. He can go to hell until hell freezes over, for all I care. And I never will. But Zelenskyy is here trying to beg for more money because his life is on the line. He sold the rare earth minerals to oligarchs in Russia. Pinochet, who was the first one in 2013 that got into Hillary's pants by funding the Clinton Foundation while she was Secretary of State and at her private email server. Then they went to the Maidan Revolution. Thank you, Soros and State Department, color revolutions. These people are all criminals. And Zelenskyy is cut off with money. The reason he's over here begging with 60 Minutes so much is if he doesn't pull through more money, he'll be killed. Oligarch Kolomoisky, they aren't going to put up with this punk for long. He's lost the war. Russia's now at will just about doing whatever Russia wants to. Russia could march into Kiev tomorrow. Russia could nuke Kiev tomorrow. If it wanted to. I mean, this guy Zelenskyy is actually dangerous, lunatic, crackhead. Get him out of here. Let him go fend for himself. Let's see how long he lives in his corrupt, criminal Ukraine without billions of dollars from being stolen by Biden. And by the way, let's have an accounting of the Biden family fortune. I want to see where all that money is. Okay, let's start out with today with the main story I want to cover. We'll get back to all this corruption. This corruption, I think, is now I think these people are about to run for the hills. I even see Mark Elias, this criminal lawyer from Perkins Coie, is now panicking over the fact that it's come out in the release of these first batch of Operation Crossfire Hurricane papers that were released over the weekend, the Russian collusion, that Elias took money from Hillary's campaign, ran it through the Perkins Coie firm, and then paid for the Steele dossier. I wrote about that in my book, Coup d'etat. It's no big secret. But now that it's out there, Elias is scared to death he's going to prison. And this son of a bitch can't go to prison fast enough. I'm going to watch my language here because these people really have been irritated. They want to put me in prison. Now it's time that they face justice. This guy, Elias, has never seen a criminal voting scam that he doesn't like. And going back to the very early days of the Obama administration, they were supporting Perkins Coie, supporting the fake birth certificate of Obama. And by the way, I found the birth certificate from which Obama's was copied, and Sheriff Arpaio proved that through various forensic labs who verified that Obama's birth certificate presented to the public as authentic was just a fake copied from a real birth certificate that I found in Hawaii. Okay, so Elias is going to face justice. A lot of people are going to face justice, despite the fact that people are increasingly upset, including General Flynn, made a statement over the weekend about Pam Bondi. I'm even now going to have trouble not saying the name of that I've made up for. I'm going to try not to use that. Making up these names should be reserved for the Democrats. But anyway, Pam Bondi better get going, and Kash Patel better get going, or they're as they say, all hat, no cattle. Big talkers. Pam Bondi seems more in love with DeSantis than trying to do her job. Maybe she doesn't know what her job is. Maybe she's over her head. I think her top 3 advisors, from everything I'm told right now in justice, have her around their little finger, telling her how important they are, what you can't do. Oh, you can't do this. You can't fire him. He's too important. You can't rearrange this. We've been doing this for 20 years. Well, Pam, I don't know that you've got the executive experience to handle this. So maybe it's time to go back to Florida. And Kash Patel, I mean, is he going to be another big disappointment? Are these people just more Bill Barrs? It's ridiculous. Okay, let's go into another failure of the Biden administration. I've got an article today on American Thinker, which I think is one of the more important ones I've written in a long time. And what it has to do with is that there is a port in Chile, and one of my good friends, in fact, my co-author on this new book, Todd Callender. And by the way, I've gotten copies of the book. I want to show it to you, although Chris will probably have to take this segment out of the YouTube because YouTube still is protecting everybody on the vaccines. You're not allowed to say certain things on YouTube. But here's the book. It's Disease, X, and Military Martial Law. And this book is going to be a big book because it's talking about the next virus that's coming, which is called the Replicon. And it will be a much more mortal version of COVID-19, a respiratory disease, killing people faster and with more lethality. But the vaccine that they've got will then get into your system and replicate the spike protein all over your body. And so if the disease doesn't kill you, the vaccine will. Okay, that's coming. Disease X. And the primary author on it is Todd Callender, Callender. He's an attorney. And Todd is a good friend. He's in Bermuda, and he runs a investment fund we're going to talk about, which is the Cotswold Investment Fund. Okay, so we'll end that comment, and Chris may have to cut that from YouTube, but we'll come on now with the article on American Thinker, which is that Todd, through his Cotswold group of companies, investment firm, and together with St. Martin Assurance Limited, which is a part of the Cotswold group of companies, own a port that's ready to be developed in Chile. And it really can be called the Rotterdam of the Pacific, because the World Bank, UNESCO, and the Communist Chinese Party have planned for this Copia Port E. It's an 8-kilometer long natural breakwater peninsula in Chile, and China wants it to be the landing pad for China's Belt and Road Initiative in South America. Now, China has a memorandum of understanding to buy the development rights of this port, and Todd Callender is rearranging his portfolio, and he's actually rearranging his life in terms of his primary focus. But the Cotswold Group is being pressured by China to come to Beijing to finalize the deal. Okay, so this Chilean group, it's this port area, it's about 850 square miles of real estate, which needs to be developed. But it has a primary position as a deep water port on the Pacific coast of Chile. Okay, so when you see China's ambitions, China already has a port in a little bit north of that on the Pacific in South America. Between the Panama Canal and these two ports, China would own the Western Hemisphere shipping coming out of South America and Central America. Okay, so this is the property is called the Hacienda Castilla, and the website will show you that it's a 30-meter natural deep water port with no dredging necessary to accommodate these dock-sized, China-Max-sized vessels, which can take 800% more cargo than the current shipping which comes off the east coast of South America. Now, the Chinamax vessels will save 15 days of sailing by coming out of this Copia Port E, heading directly for Asia, compared to the Atlantic route, which departs from the Rosario, Buenos Aires ports on the Atlantic side of South America, passing through the Panama Canal to reach Asia. Okay, it's a much longer route. So President Trump can grab this property because my friend Todd Callender prefers to sell it to Trump. All we have to do is get somebody in the administration to pay attention. So this needs to go to Rubio, head of the State Department. It needs to go to Hegseth. It's a national security issue. Hegseth was just down in Panama. And Hegseth is saying that we will begin to militarize Panama again in order to wrest control away from China in the Western Hemisphere. Now, this needs to be taken seriously because with Donald Trump imposing tariffs on China and not letting up, China's retaliated with tariffs. But again, if China loses its free trade, which means all the manufacturing goes to slave labor in China, China's not a secure country. This Communist Party could be facing economic bankruptcy in a matter of months. And the Chinese ought to be panicking over this. China is, I think, in a precarious position. But we've got to be smart enough as a country to understand what Trump understands, and that is we're getting a geopolitical rearrangement of power. So if we have the Western Hemisphere secured in ports and have arrangements where China is moved out of the Panama Canal, thank you, Jimmy Carter and Robert Pastor, who I opposed on the Security and Prosperity Partnership. He was a professor at North American University, and he worked with Carter, and one of his main deals was selling the Panama Canal to Panama. Well, Robert Pastor was a communist, and he was a globalist communist. He envisioned this one world order, we are the world, kumbaya, all that crap, and trying to turn us into international sovereignty control, the World Bank, the United Nations, the World Health Organization. The truth is, if we quit funding all these organizations, they die. The rest of the world's bankrupt right now, and they should die. Okay, now so this is going to be a major story, and I'm going to interview Todd. We'll have Todd on, and we'll talk about this port. We'll talk about its strategic importance to the United States. And Chris, I'm going to have you come on and comment in just a minute, but I want to cover one more story before we do. And this is being covered today on Zero Hedge. And what Zero Hedge is showing is that the hoopla over the weekend that, you had, what's his name at Apple, the homosexual running Apple, jumping up and down in his little pants and screaming, hey, yippee, yippee, yippee. Semiconductors are not going to be under tariffs. And so we don't have to fly more airplanes full of cell phones out of China. They flew 5 big airplanes out of China with cell phones to get them out of there before the tariffs. Okay, so what we're seeing is that was all, again, lying mainstream media trying to say, well, Trump doesn't know what he's doing with the tariffs. And the truth is, Trump is doing some brilliant things with the tariffs. He's bringing manufacturing back to the United States, bringing investment dollars back to the United States. It's America first. If James Carville, the Washington Post, the New York Times can't get that into their heads, then their heads are going to explode, and nobody will miss them. We don't need the Democrats, women in their pussy suits, little pink outfits, sitting there listening to the president. With if you're going to have Al Green with his cane be the voice of the Democratic Party, along with AOC and Maxine Waters, well, Senator John Kennedy got into what I'm saying. Just give them a microphone. These are the most hateful people in the world. Race haters, sex haters, baby haters. They want to take your children and mutilate them. with sex change operations before they reach the age of puberty without your knowledge. You're just parents. You don't count. The state owns your children. Haven't you listened to the Democrats? These people are nuts. Democratic Party is a communist party, and it rapidly became a treasonous party. And Perkins Coie used to be a law firm, then it became a Democratic law firm, then it became a communist law firm, then it became a treasonous law firm. We don't need lawfare treasonous law firms. We don't need lawfare treasonous judges. We don't need lawfare treasonous Supreme Court justices. John Roberts, if you hate Donald Trump and you're blabbing your mouth about it all the time at your country club, it's being recorded, it's being heard, and if you are that biased against Trump, get off the bench. It's not a political position. You can't put your politics where they belong. That's where the sun doesn't shine. Then get off the bench. You can't rule that we need to bring back Venezuelan terrorists who we exported because they didn't get justice. Well, my heart cries for them. They're criminals, mother rapers, father rapers, baby rapers, dead rapers, killing. The Democratic Party is for the Venezuelan gang members. So be it. I don't think Americans are for that. Certainly not me. All right, so Lutkin, the Secretary of Commerce, told ABC's This Week, another communist show with host Jonathan Karl, who the hell is he, that smartphones, computers, chips, and other electronics are not exempt from tariffs. They're going to be subject to separate tariffs in a month or so. Okay, so Lutkin tells ABC that tariff exemptions for electronics are only temporary. These items will be subject to semiconductor tariffs that will come down in a month or two. Okay, we can't be what Lutkin told Carl. Of course, Carl's little brain probably is exploding. We can't be reliant on Southeast Asia or Taiwan for all the things that operate us. We can't be reliant on China for all the things we need manufactured. Lutkin said, when Carl asked to clarify whether tariffs on Apple iPhones and other smartphone devices might come back in a month or so, Lutkin replied, "Correct, jerkhead. That's right. We need our medicines, superconductors, and electronics to be built in America." Okay, these comments came after the Customs and Border Patrol posted updated guidance Friday night on product exclusions from Trump's reciprocal tariffs imposed under Executive Order 14257 and as amended by Executive Order 14259. So these exclusions are temporary. We cannot be beholden upon foreign countries for fundamental things that we need, Lutkin said, adding, so this is not a permanent type of exemption. Trump is just clarifying that these are not available to be negotiated away by countries. There are things that are national security that we need to be made in the United States. Okay, well, again, John Carl's little head couldn't take it. And he was crying that they didn't have a story that the mainstream media, Washington Post, destroyed and distorted. So Stephen Miller was out there. Stephen Miller, counselor to the president. I've known him for years. He's a brilliant guy. He said, he put on X, "Hey, Washington Post, maybe your readers should try reading before posting. These products are subject to the tariff under the original IEEPA on China of 20%. Okay, so these semiconductors are going to be taxed, and they're going to be taxed in the form of a tariff. Okay, so, the idea that you're going to have this exemption was the idea that started promoting looked like a stock market rally because the futures were up on this hype. Okay, so what we have here is a situation in which we are seeing the mainstream media attacking Trump on the tariffs, trying to say he's inconsistent, he doesn't know what he's doing, he's going to hurt the United States. The truth is that the United States is bankrupt. And we're bankrupt in a way that has in a sense, fundamentally hurt the economy. Thank you, Act Blue. Thank you, Joe Biden. Okay, so what did Biden do as vice president? So Biden says he's over there with Ukraine because Trump said to Hillary, you can have your foundation, little Hillary, and you can do all the bribery schemes you want. Bill can be head of the Clinton Foundation. You can deal with every crooked oligarch in the world, and you can steal billions out of the earthquake that happens in Haiti or any disaster that happens anywhere in the world. India, Haiti, Africa. You can ship them drugs from manufactured in India that don't work. Say you're curing HIV/AIDS. I researched that story and was on that one at the time, saying how I wrote a book called Partners in Crime, how corrupt the criminal Clintons are. So Obama says Clintons, you can have the foundation and your private email server. We don't care. In fact, I'll have my own private address on your email server so we can communicate offline. Make sure you steal all the money you want. I've already got my mansions, Bob Obama says, so don't worry. I'm taking it. Now it's your turn, Hillary. You make money and then you shut up over the fact that I beat you for the presidential nomination in 2008 of the Democratic Party. Just shut up. And by the way, Biden, that I didn't pick you to be president and when you wanted to instead of Hillary, why don't you shut up? You can go to Ukraine. You can make all the money you want. So Biden gets Congress to pass $1 billion of aid to Ukraine to go to Burisma in order for this company on which Hunter Biden is on the board, an oil natural gas company in Ukraine, to compete with Gazprom, which is supplying natural gas to Europe, Western Europe. And so what do? They fund the money from the Congress through the Treasury over to private bank, which is owned by Kolomoisky, another criminal oligarch, and he steals it by money laundering it through Cyprus and other money laundering locations, so it disappears. What is the great Democrat Fund Disappearing Act? Democrats figure they can have billions and billions and billions of dollars granted by the U.S. government, even though it's all, funny money. It's all deficit spending. We don't have any taxes, so our deficit $34 trillion, going, heading to 35 trillion, headed to 50 trillion, headed to 100 trillion. We don't care. It's just fake money printed anyway. And then they steal it and Act Blue steals it. And then the Democrats are funding Soros, who steals it. We have color revolutions, and they fund all this crazy lunatic agenda, the critical race theory. They're criminals. So I want the FBI to investigate every millionaire in Congress, including the rhinos. Where do they get their money? Mitch McConnell? Could it have been China with Elaine Chao, whose family is worth billions over there in China, or at least multi-millions? They wouldn't be alive if Mitch McConnell didn't do what China wanted. They invite Mitch McConnell over, they give him money. So China funds the McConnells, who then do not act in the interest of the United States. They act in the interest of their pocketbooks. We don't have term limits. We're getting nowhere. These people cannot come to Congress to become wealthy. And look, in this tax bill, the spending bill we were just getting through the Congress, the rhinos were opposing it because they wanted to keep the Biden carbon tax credits and the Biden green energy in place so they could steal that money. And now there's states, the blue states are suing because not all the pandemic money was spent. They want that money. Look, cut off the money, and cut off the money, the UN dies. Cut off the money, NATO dies. Cut off the money, there is no war in Ukraine because Zelenskyy will be out of office in about 20 seconds and hunted down in the streets like a dog because he did not deliver to Kolomoisky and Pinochet the rare earth minerals that they thought they had a corner on. Okay, cut off the money, California goes bankrupt. Cut off the money, New York goes bankrupt. Chicago goes bankrupt. All these blue Democratic cities go bankrupt. I was in New York City and see what New York's doing. New York is filled now with homeless. You can't go in the subways. They're dangerous. They got these stupid bike lanes. Okay, so now you've got congestion pricing in New York. So the cars coming into New York are going to be taxed if they go down into lower Manhattan, picked up by these cameras. So we got all the surveillance system, but yet crime is rampant. And now these bike lanes are taking up parts of 7th Avenue and Broadway that used to be used for cars. We don't need any damn cars in the city because the Democrats want to make it all for roving mobs of illegal immigrants to come and terrorize people and kill them in the streets. Police are quitting by droves because it defund the police. If they do arrest somebody, the Democratic judges let them out and punish the police. It's insanity. Okay, so it's time for Donald Trump to have an agenda in which this Democratic communist treason is stopped. Okay, now I'm going to make one more point, then Chris, get ready. I want you to comment. The point is this. We are going to go through a crash. It's, I think, inevitable. It's going to be a world economic crash because Europe is bankrupt. Our major cities are bankrupt. The federal government is bankrupt. Okay, now, a credit crash will occur, especially starting in the commercial real estate, because our commercial real estate in downtown locations is largely empty because people don't want to come back to work to offices. They can work at home, much more comfortable. They do what they want, including nothing. And they get paid. Nice scam. And downtowns are unlivable, like San Francisco. Even Union Square legacy stores are closed or closing. It's like a ghost town. And again, you got the transgenders all over the place, and nudity's fine, and they can whip each other and have sadomasochistic exhibitions all day long in Pride City. So if San Francisco is going to become Pride City, it's going to become bankrupt. If New York is going to have mayors and all they're doing is Democratic mayors and they're paying people, illegal immigrants, to stay in the Roosevelt Hotel, New York is deteriorating fast. Okay, so Chris, we're going to show the book. I want to talk about Swiss America. Gold today is at $3,216 an ounce. Okay, now when I was first talking about this, I remember it being about $1,800 an ounce. Let's say it was $2,300 an ounce. Well, that's still almost $1,000 gain per ounce. And it's going to go to 4,000. It's going to go to 5,000. It's going to go to 6,000. And we're going to have to go through some pain in order to rectify this problem because the Democrats have gone out of control with deficit spending. Okay, now the book is How the Coming Global Crash is going to Create an Historic Gold Rush. Now get a copy of the book, 1-800-519-6268. Call Swiss America. But even more importantly, talk to Swiss America about getting some of your IRAs and 401ks in gold. You can do a self-directed IRA. Now, the rules for that, Swiss America can explain to you. They can put it in effect for you. Then you get a depository in Delaware to hold your gold and silver, together with a Lloyd's of London insurance guarantee that the value of the gold and silver you own is there. Now you can start putting some of your assets in gold and silver. If you're in mutual funds that are in the stock market or mutual funds at all, you're being taken for a sucker. You think those mutual funds give a damn about you, you're wrong. Mutual funds just want your assets under management. They say, oh, well, if you don't like our stock funds because stock market's not, we'll move you into a bond fund. Well, guess what? The bond market's crashing too because our treasuries are worthless. We'll just do more treasuries and pay you more worthless money. Okay, so on Swiss America, if you look at CorsiNation.com, you can see the tab, pull it down, and start looking at the self-directed IRA. Call Swiss America. Write this number down. This number could save your financial future. 1-800-519-6268. 1-800-519-6268. And by the way, if you become a customer of Swiss America, you can also take advantage of this for first-time, one-time offer, one-time buyers. That have the opportunity to get these Walking Liberty half dollars, 250 of them, at virtually what the cost of silver. They're 99.99% 99% silver. That way you get some silver and you get a self-directed IRA. Also take a look at My Vital C. There's another long-term sponsor. My Vital C is carbon 60, which is a molecule that was discovered about 40 years ago by some scientists at Rice University. It's manufactured mostly in outer space, but it has tremendous longevity aspects. I like it in olive oil. I've been taking it for 4 years. Okay, I'm 78 years old. It has remarkable properties in terms of memory, cognitive functioning. There are also hair products. There's creams for skin. I take all their products. I think it's a one, and for cats and dogs. Cats and dogs love carbon 60 as well. Do yourself a favor. Get to know My Vital C. If you like the program, start using My Vital C. I think you'll be remarkably pleased with the effects it will have upon you, rejuvenating you as they have, I believe, me. Okay, Chris, why don't you come on and let's have a little commentary here, because I think I've covered a lot of ground already today.
That you have. Yes, you have covered a lot of ground. Keeping an eye, I didn't get to see it live, 60 Minutes, because I try to avoid it. But Zelenskyy is, you mentioned many times he's an actor. He's a master of emotional manipulation, a lot like other politicians who are kind of actors as well. He, but again, at this point, if he's good at tugging on your heartstrings, but after all these years, it's time to stop. We just can't afford funding this war anymore. We've thrown so much money down the toilet there. There was a study recently that showed, and the left is trying to throw this around, saying most Trump supporters support Ukraine. It's Ukraine, and most Trump supporters think Russia's the aggressor and Putin's the thug, which basically means most people who support Trump aren't stupid. No, they know that. It just comes time where common sense says this war is now a lost cause. We're paying for the wrong things. We're not supposed to be paying for Ukrainians' pensions if we can't pay for our own, and so on and so on and so on. This guy has to stop begging for money and find a way to get to the table and save his people. That's where most of us stand. Not for the Russians, not for the Ukrainian leadership, but for the people who are caught in the middle of this.
Well, Russia had an attack on Palm Sunday on this Ukrainian city of Sumy, Sumy, and they killed about 34 people. Russia's just making it clear that they can hit anything they want, anytime they want. Of course, our retired general, who I'm glad to see Trump has parked, this Keith Kellogg, said this Russia's attack crossed any line of decency. Russia's trying to get Ukraine's attention. Russia's saying, look, you want a ceasefire to rearm, go to hell. We're not doing that. So Russia's saying, okay, which city do you want us to attack now? Russia's taken back Kursk. Zelenskyy made this incursion into Russia. They were trying to get World War III started. That's what Macron, by the way, Macron's married to a man, older man.
Wow.
It's an international joke, but it's true. He's married to a man.
Well, somebody's got to be the man there, right?
Yeah, somebody's got to be the man there. I mean, and this woman out there saying that science supports transgenderism. These people are,
What? It's science fiction, maybe.
Yeah, I mean, these people are, reading satanic comic books and thinking they're reality. I mean,
well, they can't separate television characters from reality either. They still refer to Donald Trump as, or they still think of Donald Trump as the guy from The Apprentice.
Yeah,
Who just told
right.
people they were fired. They were scared. These scared people. Because I'm sure a lot of these people, a lot of these leftists who just despise him for any reason, are the ones who got fired for being lazy when they were working at the local Starbucks or something.
Yeah, they're waiting for Captain Marvel to come and save them.
Which one? The good one from DC Comics, or that chick one that nobody likes anyway? That, by the way, lost 2 death battles. Thanks to, if anybody watched the Screw Attack death battles on YouTube,
No.
the chick Captain Marvel lost to Shazam, who, by the way, is 10 years old. Captain Marvel, he's really 10, and she lost to Android 18 from the Dragon Ball franchise, and you got slaughtered both times.
Well, this is really important. I mean, this is the reality Democrats live in. I mean, we've got, we've got transgender men again, and the state of Maine is going to say men are going to participate in women's sports. Well, there goes Maine's funding.
Here's the problem now. The Democrats have doubled down on this for 4 years. They can't give up on it. They do. They lose the support of not only the very small percentage of people who aren't in those transgender allowed groups, but they lose the support of the guilty whites, the ones who were marching for this all along to virtue signal. Where are they going to go? They
Well,
just might stay home.
they're going to support. They're going to support Hamas.
Yeah, well, I
And
guess that's
and Harvard's going to lose $1 billion in funding, and the faculty is suing at Harvard so that nobody knows what that funding's all about.
yeah.
What are they doing? Studying transgender mice at Harvard?
It would be nice.
Probably.
Yeah, it would be nice to actually spend it towards the education of young people and,
Oh no, we don't want any educated people. They
No.
can think.
Right,
We
exactly.
want
That's
dumbed
what they
down
don't want.
people. We don't need to teach any reading or writing, arithmetic. We don't need. I was on New Jersey Transit. They have all these signs up. I was shocked, saying we care. We care that 56% of our sixth graders can't read.
Hmm.
60 and can't do math, and
Well
then they don't catch up.
well, if that's how to produce Democrats. There
That's
you go. How to
that's how
produce Democrats.
to produce slaves. Take a free
Right.
nation and get a teachers union
Mm.
that is dominated by black radicals, women, and let them be our teachers. No, close down the public schools. I'm glad to see all this money being taken from the universities. I mean, Harvard ought to lose $1 billion here, $1 billion there. Pretty soon they'll be begging for money. Fine, let them reduce their faculty. Fine,
Yeah,
let 'em-
I don't think we need Claudine Gay to be making what, near, was it $900,000 still?
well, she's a good plagiarist. Why shouldn't she be head president? She plagiarizes better than anybody I've ever seen.
Even the look too. I mean, she does have a striking resemblance to Steve
Yes.
Urkel.
Yes, she does. I think I saw her the other day at the Harvard Club, at least in New York City. At least they've taken her picture down.
Oh gosh.
Claudine Gay.
Let's see if I can
Right.
find that picture.
I mean, her last name being Gay. I mean, they couldn't have picked a better one. A black president, a woman president named Gay of Harvard, whose claim to fame was plagiarism. That's Harvard University.
Yeah.
That's
Here she is.
Democrats. I can hardly wait to see this.
There she is right there.
Yes, and she almost looks like that. In fact, I think she does have red glasses.
Yeah, the glasses, the same haircut,
You see, find the picture of her. Let's see the two of them together.
the bewildered look on her face.
The deer in the headlight look.
Yeah. Oh my gosh.
See if you can find a
Pretty
picture of her. Put up the two of them, flash them between the two of them.
Oh, I got this. Yeah, I can do that one.
You could do that
Find
one.
that. Give me a moment. I have to pull that one up. Here's
Yeah.
that bewildered look on her face when she was trying to answer the question, where she was lying about answering these questions and
Oh, yeah, there's her.
talking right there. There she is.
There's her black glasses. She's had I'm sure she's had red glasses.
Women change their glasses quite often. I don't know. We men, we can have one pair of glasses for years. But
That's
women
right.
change there's actually a pair of glasses that I don't know who put. I think Gucci puts it out where you change the color. You can just
Yeah,
put a little
I'm
plastic
look,
frames over it.
I'm sure Gucci has something like that, right?
Mhm. Yeah.
And I think Gucci and Versace are merging together.
Yeah.
Okay, so enough Claudine Gay. Get rid of her. These universities, are all Trump has to do is take the money away from them, and Musk is doing a good job of that. Of course, what now we have children who aren't yet born applying for Social Security or other benefits. I mean, we've got people who are 400 years old getting Social Security checks, but that's okay because our voter rolls have people on them that have been dead for decades and are made up names that don't exist, duplicate records. They can vote. You don't have to be alive to vote, do you?
Not anymore. Yeah.
You don't have to be a citizen to vote. In fact, you don't have to be even real to vote. You can be made up.
You can. You can just have what was it in 2020? You could have the mail-in ballots mailed from somebody else's name to your house or to empty houses. You can gather those ballots up, That's right. You don't have to have an address. There were several addresses that didn't exist amongst
We don't need no
those
stinking
mail-ins. Yep.
addresses. We don't need no stinking birth certificates.
Nope.
We don't need no proof of citizenship. In fact, we don't need voters. We'll just run the computers and tell you who won.
There you go.
Okay, so showgods5stones.com. And I'm going to have there's going to be some major announcements on this week. And we're coming out with a major article in terms of what Trump's doing. But Trump has it figured out. And I think, thank God the hand of God is on Trump. One turn of the heads at the right moment saved his life. And I'm sure we're going to find out that the FBI was in on it, and Secret Service was in on it, and these assassins were let to be in where they were, by not only negligence but complicity. And these are people who need to be gone after. And so, therefore, if Pam Bondi's not going to do it, I'm going to stay on her theme until we get somebody in there who can do it. Okay, now I want to end with a couple of additional stories, because what I'm seeing going on in terms of not only the economy, but not only Ukraine. And by the way, Blinken, my favorite guitar playing Secretary of State, rather be in a rock band than Secretary of State, he said that Zelenskyy actually was the first to come to the Biden administration with a rare earth minerals deal. Okay, and I just love that Macron's going to field an army. I can hardly wait to see what this French army is going to look like. Transgender French army. It should be wonderful to watch. I'd love to see them go into battle. What are they going to do? Hold a gay pride parade and see if Russia won't surrender? Okay, so the insanity here of all these people. The European Union is bankrupt. It's trying to gain control over people. In UK, if you say anything, you go to prison, because hate speech. We're going to make sure we have no hate speech in order to have democracy preserved. Yeah, that means you can imprison anybody who says anything you don't like. In the meantime, it looks like Trump and Putin will get together in a summit, and one of the Kremlin spokespersons confirmed that an in-person meeting is going to take place, and it's been discussed, and it will happen. Okay, so Putin and Trump are going to make their own deal on Ukraine, and Zelenskyy can go to hell. Okay, when Trump said a few days ago on Truth Social, he wrote, "Russia has to get moving. Too many people are dying, thousands a week." Well, he had action. One of our major foreign diplomats met with Putin over the weekend. Then he went to Iran. Iran is now going to talk. I guess Iran's going to talk before they get blown into the Stone Age, because we've got B-2 bombers over there, and Trump's had it with Iran. Of course, Biden and Obama, these two traitor presidents, were sending airplanes full of cash to the mullahs just so they could develop nuclear weapons. And when we get all the things that are in these, by the way, the Crossfire Hurricane documents were released were being redacted. Now stop it. Let's see these unredacted documents. These limited hangouts where they give you a little morsel of something, but they keep the good stuff behind hidden. Not good enough. So Trump standards got to be unredacted, released. They started releasing the Hitler survived documents from the FBI. I wrote a book about that 10 years ago, Hunting Hitler. You can show the cover of that, Chris. And the Hunting Hitler book, the HBO stole the title. Of course, you can't copyright a title, so it wasn't HBO, it was a History Channel. And they ran a series on hunting Hitler. Well, now we're going to find out that Hitler survived. Surprise, surprise. The guy who killed 50, 60 million people in World War II was not going to, at the end of the war, say, "Oh, I made a mistake. I better kill myself and marry this woman." No. He's going to say the German people weren't worthy of me. I'm getting out of here. I'll find some people worthy of me. We'll make the United States of America the third, make them the Fourth Reich. My friend Jim Mars, who passed away, brilliant book, Crossfire on JFK. behind that led to the Oliver Stone movie. There's the Hunting Hitler book I wrote. And Hunting Hitler is going to turn out that Hitler did survive. And it shouldn't be any surprise to people. I had the naval intelligence information. Stalin told Harry Hopkins, one of the communist advisors for FDR, that Hitler was alive. It was known at the part that by intelligence agencies at the time, but we didn't want Hitler found. Didn't want Hitler going to trial. It was better that he just escape. I mean, Alan Dulles was in Bern, Switzerland, helping Hitler move money into Argentina starting 1943, 2 years before the war ended. And our CIA has always been a lying globalist international organization that has committed crime after crime after crime. We're to find out their complicity in 9/11, find out their complicity in all kinds of things. George W. Bush not acknowledging that the Osama bin Laden was a CIA asset, as was Lee Harvey Oswald. We don't need a CIA that lies to us and goes and commits crimes, gets in the drug trade, runs pedophilia, child sex labor. You think we have fentanyl on the border without the complicity of a bank? You're crazy. And the banks are monitored by the Treasury, and the CIA takes its cut. It's time all this stop. And in the end, God always wins. God will win here too. And the criminality, the evil is going to get exposed. But I still implore you, everyone, under the spirit of 2 Chronicles 7:14, get on your knees and pray. Ask God to forgive us for letting it get to this point. Celebrating abortion, euthanasia, just go ahead and kill yourself. Do us all a favor. Democrats, death cult. Democrats, treasonous, wanting to destroy voting integrity. It's all going to come to an end. Thank God Donald Trump was elected. Dr. Jerome Corsi today. It is Monday. It's April 14th. Tomorrow, the IRS steals money from all of us. And we will not celebrate tomorrow. We'll look forward to the day when the IRS is gone. In the truth is, in the end, God always wins, and God will win here too. Thank you for joining us at CorsiNation.com. We're broadcasting every weekday. We'll be back tomorrow. God bless.